You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. Shea Dixon joins us every Tuesday. Get a little Cruton talk, and it's a really good time of year as Cruton season is heating up. Shea, we appreciate you, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Always our pleasure. Hey, let's start with Cai Bates. Reaction to the decommitment?
Yeah, this was one that had really been brewing for a bit now. He had visited earlier in the year, but since then it had been pretty mum on where he was leaning with his commitment or how things would ultimately shake out. He had visited Florida State this past weekend, reopened things after that. And I say it's been brewing for a couple of months because in that span, as LSU's making senior evals, they made the move and offered and pushed for and got commitments from two more corners in Bernard Causey out of New Orleans and then P.J. Woodland out of South Mississippi. So they're trying to stack up on high school corners. Cai being a guy out of Florida, I'm not sure where it winds up. I would say Tennessee maybe would be a school to watch, but obviously at this point it's not going to be LSU. But still, they have, I believe, 4 corners, high school corners committed right now. They'd love to add another if one would fall their way, but I think that they probably get into the portal and get at least one guy, Matt, and then hope you can bring a lot of these guys back from the current roster and develop them. Yeah,
that was my next question, Shea, just as a quick follow-up. So with the current guys they have in the class, the possibility of adding maybe someone in the portal, are they done at corner, or are there still targets out there at that position?
Well, there's Terry Bussey, a 5-star athlete out of A&M. He can play DB, safety, corner. He would be someone that, if you flipped, could obviously fit into that conversation. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were done there, and then maybe you look for a guy in the portal if it's someone who you feel good about, obviously, as someone who can come in and make an impact right away and not have like a Denver Harris or Deuce Chestnut situation play out. But really, Matt, I look at Ashton Stamps, Toviano. Where's Zy Alexander health-wise a year from now? I don't know. J.K. Johnson the same, but these young guys, like Terrence Welsh, how do they develop? Because they could, look, you can go into next year potentially and Stamps and Toviano are your starters.
Shea Dixon's with us on 3 The Bengal Tiger. You mentioned there, Shea, also A&M flips. I'm curious, with the Jimbo news now official and the early signing period rapidly approaching, how does that Jimbo decision at A&M impact this LSU class and who they might target and be able to flip?
One of the biggest targets they've already flipped, Weston Davis, 5-star offensive tackle out of Beaumont. They got him on board a few weeks back. He was on campus this past weekend, so he's pretty locked in at this stage. So now you turn to, right, who do they have that you're still kind of wanting to put into the class because you've been recruiting them all along? And right now on 3, Matt, I think they have 4 guys ranked in the top 50, top 75 nationally. LSU would be, 5 top 50 prospects. LSU's after 3 of them, and 2 of them are Louisiana guys, and 2 of them, those Louisiana guys, are D linemen. So Gabe Relaford, obviously, is still committed to A&M. He's been great at Evangel the past 2 seasons, and he's going to visit LSU here soon. Obviously, he can take an official visit still. They'll have in-home visits, so you'll get a chance to still try to flip him. Dominic McKinley out of Acadiana is supposed to be visiting LSU for one of these final 2 home games. We'll see how that plays out, but if so, he comes back into the fold. And then I mentioned Terry Bussey, a 5-star athlete who waited to commit to A&M until he took an official visit to LSU, which was during the season, and then shortly after committed to A&M, but has been back on LSU's campus since then, and the staff's obviously still recruiting him. So this shakeup in College Station, I think, honestly, look, 2 of the guys I mentioned are D linemen. Elijah Robinson's now their interim. That's a move that helps them at least hold on to them and know that, hey, look, Elijah's in charge right now. He may stay on staff because he's one of their better recruiters. But when it all comes down to it, I think at least one of those 3 guys ends up in LSU's class.
Wow. That'd be big for Brian Kelly as they continue to piece together this 2024 class. All right, Shea Dixon's with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Shea, also noticed that this past weekend for the LSU-Florida game, Keelan Moses was there. He and Brian Kelly had a moment together on the sideline pregame. What can you tell us about Moses with his decision coming up here in just a couple weeks?
Yeah, November 30th at the U-High gym, I believe. He's invited everybody to come out, but obviously the UI students will all be there, media, and he's got a final group that is, a familiar run of teams. Look, it's Florida, it's Texas, it's Alabama, schools that he's gone out and visited over the past few months and few years, really, are the teams that he's ultimately kind of come down to. Oregon, he threw into his top 3 with Florida, as well as some other teams, but at this point, this one is going to play out, in my mind, differently than his brothers. I think that Keelan wants to be at LSU. He's always wanted to be at LSU from kind of the vibe I get. He spends a lot of time, beyond going to high school, on campus. He spends a lot of time around football ops and goes to practices and, goes and watches almost every game. So this is someone, in my mind, Matt, that's not only a top 25, linebacker in the country, top 300 prospect, 4-star, but you get him on board and the dominoes start to fall. He is good friends with a lot of the guys. They see him as sort of a leader. I think LSU views him as a guy who can be that cornerstone piece relationship-wise to put together a class that's going to be heavy on Louisiana guys. And I don't know, anyone who's ever met Keelan, he's an affable kid. So I think if they get him popped on the 30th, the dominoes could start falling from there.
Shea, is it fair to say that 2025, especially in Louisiana, is a bit of a bumper crop?
Yeah, the 2025 and 2026, we're already seeing a lot of top 100 prospects emerge in 2026. I think, gosh, I could sit here and Google it, but maybe 3 of the top 10 players in the country for 2026 are from Louisiana, including an O-lineman and a D-lineman. So, talking about Lamar Brown at U-High, obviously being one of them, and Jakeem Stewart over at St. Aug being the D-lineman. These next 2 cycles, I would say, are going to be kind of what pushes LSU over the top and back to, okay, you're now nationally relevant again if you're keeping all of these Louisiana kids at home.
I didn't realize that Blaine Bradford from Catholic is the number 5 player in the country.
That would be the 3rd one.
Oh,
so you got 3 of them, 2 of them right here in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, you wonder why Brian Kelly left Notre Dame for LSU. This is why. Like, throw a stone and hit 5 stars. All right,
yeah, don't leave campus.
Right.
They're practicing next to your facility.
Shea Dixon on Twitter at Shea Dixon on 3 the Bengal Tiger. I also want to ask, Harlem Berry is another 2025 kid, and his announcement is coming up next month.
It is, man. We don't talk about him enough. I know we get caught up in Underwood and a lot of the current class of seniors, and these are all juniors. Harlem Berry is the best running back to come out of Louisiana since Fournette, and he's the number 1 running back nationally. The comps for him range from Jamal Charles to that Reggie Bush, Joe McKnight feel. Rest in peace. But boy, those guys just glide, and that's what he is. And he's a back-to-back state champ in the 100-meter or 200-meter, I should say. Won it last year in the 100, or maybe it was the other way around, back-to-back in the 100. Won it a year ago in the 200, came in second this year. But a sub-10-6 running back who just can zig and zag and runs like the wind. I mean, he is an absolute game changer. And he's playing small ball at St. Martin, so it's not like he's at one of the big New Orleans schools and everybody knows him. But there is no doubt that he is the number 1 back for next year. And at On3, we've got him as the top 10 player in the country. So he is it's rare air. Yeah, I truly believe he's the best since Fournette.
It's pretty incredible, Shea. So Keelan Moses will announce later this month. Harlem Berry will announce in December, and then Bryce Underwood will announce in January. Safe to say that the next 6 weeks could be transformative for the LSU football program. What's the latest on Underwood? I know I've asked you this before, but obviously with everything going on at Michigan, it throws things into the air. But then, Shea, Michigan takes a quarterback commit. Am I reading too much into that that's a good sign for LSU?
No, I think that's the way that anybody who's not knee-deep in recruiting and is convincing themselves of 8,000 conspiracy theories, like all the people who follow most of my work would do, Matt. You're a rational person who would say, y'all just took a quarterback commit from a guy who is nationally ranked. I mean, Carter Smith camped at LSU. This is a kid out of Florida who committed to Michigan today that is in the 2025 class, for those that obviously don't know. And but anyways, you're a month and a half out, and the guy an hour down the road in Bryce Underwood is announcing his decision, and you don't wait. You go ahead and you take a Carter Smith, who is not a guy where you're like, okay, we got one, but we need to go get one more. Carter Smith is a top 100 player. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So and his comps are like J.J. McCarthy. So I think they almost see the writing on the wall of it might not be them. Look, Michigan didn't get a visit from him on a game this entire season, and he was at the LSU Auburn game with his whole family. So I think that for them it was, hey, let's go ahead and grab someone that we feel good about, can play here and do well. And Carter Smith's a pretty elite quarterback, but I would definitely, that is a good thing that in a battle that's at least been considered recently to be LSU-Michigan, that 8 weeks away from a decision, January 6th, whenever that is, so a little less than 2 months, that Michigan takes a quarterback almost in a way, kind of waving a white flag.
The On3 recruiting prediction machine has Underwood 75% to LSU. I mean, Shea, this could get really fun here over the next 6 to 8 weeks, as you mentioned, with LSU's recruiting season heats up. It's a great time to go subscribe up to On3 the Bengal Tiger. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Make sure you follow his work there at On3 the Bengal Tiger. Shea, we appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Yep, thanks for having me on, Matt.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.